Good evening, everyone. We are live in the Secret Wealth. Oh, I forgot the name of the Facebook group then. The Secret Wealth Project Facebook group and live via YouTube for Never Mind the Buy Box. This evening, I am joined by Ash. Good evening, Ash. How are you?
Good evening. I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I'm just going to wait for a few people to jump on, and we'll have a general conversation. But the real topic of conversation tonight is Ash has been setting fire to the Amazon world. You've been setting it alight over the last up to a year since you started selling on Amazon. So we're going to go through. We're going to talk to Ash. We're going to find out a little bit more about his journey, what he was doing before, how he discovered Amazon, what he's going to be doing now, and, what he's going to be doing on the future. So I'm just going to wait. Just want to double check. Jed's joined us. Evening, Jed. I just want to check that we've gone out
Evening,
live.
Jed.
Because I can't find the video at the moment. Evening, Ruth. Let's just wait and see. Oh, there we are. Okay, perfect. By the way, guys, any questions that we have, that you guys have for Ash as we go along? Yeah, Ruth says she can see and hear us, so that's perfect. Any questions that you have, just pop them in the comments, because I think anyone that has seen your posts and updates, you do like a bit of a monthly update in the group, don't you? Just to let people know.
I do, yeah. So I failed to post March's update. I typed it all out. It was on my phone, and days went by. It was a 20-second. I thought, it's just too late now. So yeah, I usually do a monthly post. And my posts go along the lines of what's gone well, what hasn't gone well, what my targets are for what my target was for the previous month, what my targets are for the month ahead, and and I post a few tips and suggestions based on my experience. Obviously, they don't apply to everyone, but generally it's about products, shipping, and the general Amazon business.
And you've done your fair share of shipping over the last 8 months.
My fair share of shipping, backbreaking stuff.
Well, we will get into that in a moment. For some reason, the comments aren't working on the Facebook StreamYard link too well tonight. It's always a drama, but I just want to say hello to a few people. Mark Penn's just joined us. Evening, Mark. Cash has joined us. Vladislav has joined us. Paul, Karen says evening. Jed says evening. So hopefully, I know you can see and hear us, but also, guys, if you wouldn't mind giving us some likes and loves, because what that does is it helps push the notification out. There we go. I think a load of comments have just dropped. Push that notification out just to let everyone know that we are live. David's just joined us, as has Alexander. Just let me know. Yeah, Mark, I thought so. Facebook is lagging behind on YouTube tonight. Hopefully, I think it's just, it looks like it's sending out the notification. Everyone's piling in now. So just wait a few more minutes. Let me know in the comments, guys. Let us know how things are going on. I think most people had a really good bank holiday weekend in terms of sales. I made a comment on Facebook that said, something like bank holidays plus rain plus payday equals massive sales on Amazon, because it's just that unique combination of people not wanting to go out and shop, where they just want to, stay warm and do their online shopping essentially. But let me know in the comments. Loads of people joining us from YouTube. How are your sales at the moment? Let us know. Any questions that you've got for Ash and, his journey as we're going along, make sure you put them in. Hanson said the Pallet King. There we go. I'll tell you what, we will come on and talk about your pallets in a moment, but they are some neat pallets.
Yeah. You have to make sure they're wrapped properly. So when I got in touch with, my local provider is CS Ellis. They're part of the Pallet Line group. And I think when I started researching pallets, Pallet Line came up quite frequently across everybody's responses. And then I quickly realized it was a group of companies that use Pallet Line. And they are just super organized really well. I call them, I literally call them, sometimes I've called them as late as midday saying, I need 6 pallets picking up. Can you come as late as possible? I haven't even started them. And they literally just come and pick them up without an invoice, without payment, without anything. They'll pick them up. And yeah, they've been really good.
Oh, brilliant. Well, that's always good to hear. You know, I think more and more as more and more people get into arbitrage, get into reselling, you know, there is obvious savings that can be made by utilizing pallets. It's not always, you know, just to reiterate, it's not always the best way to be able to send stuff. You know, it's a good to have a little bit of a mix and utilize, especially during Q4, utilizing, you know, UPS as well. But it can make a big saving.
It can, yeah. So I was sending my pallets in at £45 plus VAT, so £56. Yeah, so when you're sending in volume, 6-7 pallets, I think the most I sent in was 10 pallets. It can be cost effective.
Yeah. Did you do a comparison to UPS? Did you work out what that would have cost?
Because I've heard so many horror stories of, A, you have to book UPS. Secondly, I just found the booking process online a bit complicated through the Amazon Ship for Shipment program. And then I had heard these horror stories that they turn up and you have to pay extra for a tail lift. And you're thinking, well, if you're sending a pallet, you're going to send a vehicle that's suitable to take a pallet.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to risk that.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I think most people do use either Pallet online or, you know, I think they use external sources. I think if you're going to send individual boxes up to 15 kilos, you know, UPS through Amazon Seller Central is the way to go. You know, if they're not in too much volume, but when you're heading into volume, definitely pallets is good to utilize as well as mixing in, you know, the UPS.
Yeah. I think if I was to send pallets via UPS now, I'd be a bit more comfortable because I have the mobile number of the driver. Yeah. Perfect. So when Graham was taking my individual FBM shipments, I'd message him in the morning and I would say, Graham, I've got 4 pallets, and he'd even leave me pallet wrap. But they offload the pallets at the warehouse because they're individuals. So great. I messaged Graham in the morning and he said, yeah, I'll be there. And Graham only picked up pallets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. You know, great recommendation there as well, and good tip. And this is a really good tip, especially during Q4. Literally, guys, make friends with your UPS drivers, even if they're coming through, you know, lorries or trucks or whatever. Try and get their number if you can, because what it does is it makes their life easier. Because I know it might sound a bit like cheeky that you're asking for their number or anything like that, but if you're not ready and they have to come to you and then come back later, they get more, you know, peed off about that. So it's 100%. I mean, if a driver just turned up, you know, you have to build a bit of a relationship. Out 5 minutes in and the first pickup, I wouldn't say, hey, what's your number? You know, you have to build up a little bit of a relationship with them and, you know, build it up from that point of view. But something that was really weird that we found out today just before we went live, and it reminded me because Kay said it, she's got her video call with Amazon tomorrow, was it's a bit of a milestone for you today, a little bit of an anniversary.
Absolutely. Yeah. So today was the very day I signed up for my Amazon account, my Amazon Seller Central account. And I remember because the saying of May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So a little bit weird that we're talking about your journey exactly a year on from the point when you started. I think like most people, obviously, it takes a little while to get going, and you didn't get off to the greatest start because it took you quite a while to set it up.
Yeah, it took 28 days for my account to get verified. And I think it was probably a combination of things, but I think it may have been the bank account. So I don't think they like, because I've heard comments from other people. In fact, I recently heard comments from somebody that's joined up. They don't like the Tide account because they don't identify it as a bank account.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's a lot of verification issues, and whether or not you use your Amazon buying account to set up beforehand. Which bank account? I mean, Starling used to be one of the best to sign up on, but even now they've started getting uber picky about asking kind of weird questions and things like that. I mean, I think it's always the traditional way if you can go through like a traditional account or something like that. But I've heard that Monzo's pretty good and, you know, a few other areas. But I think it's a shame actually, because I think Starling was such a good option, but they literally are asking for so many details now, so it's a bit of a bummer, unfortunately. Just quickly say, Mark said, he's just saying, just an FYI, if you weren't aware. I know that this is an issue that comes up again, but he had some pallets, and we all know Mark is a very high volume seller. He had some pallets rejected today because they were wrapped in the black wrap. I also think it is in Amazon terms and conditions not to use black wrap, but I think it's one of those things that if you've not had the issue, it doesn't really affect you until you've had the issue, really.
Yeah, I did see somebody post saying, did you know, that they sent me the link to the Amazon terms, and it says they're not into black pallet wrap.
Yeah. Why? I think it's one of those things, but I think it's always worth noting, guys. I always say that it is best to follow the rules, because you don't want to have pallets rejected, do you? At the end of the day, so
it's a lot of stock.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, we're going to officially take the stand that it's, no black wrap for pallets, or no black wrap for boxes as well. So it's not just pallets anyway, as well. So thanks for bringing that up, Mark, as well. So Mark said he thought he would try it as they were sending high value goods. Let's just have a look at a few comments, and then we're going to dive into really about Ash's journey and how he's got to where he has. Some questions popping up already. Don't worry, guys, I will come back and answer the questions, but obviously want to dive in first of all. Where do we go from? Oh, just some comments about Carolyn says, my UPS guy is a miserable git. He makes me carry the boxes from the door to his van. What?
You need to bribe him.
Yeah, that is crazy. Oh my God, Carolyn, that is crazy. Like, literally, we used to get everyone used to hate us at the prep center when we had that, because like literally it would be like 100 boxes and they'd be like, oh my God. So we always used to do extra little things just to help them out. Matt was always really helpful, so was Alex, the guy that runs it. So we would always do our best to, because we had lots of volume going through, just to help them out, just to bribe them. Lots of celebrations at Christmas. I know Jed says he gives his driver bottles of Magna and now he's his best mate. But I think it's not about that sometimes. It's just about that recognition and, knowing that you appreciate what they're doing, for sure. So Natalie says, hi, Natalie from Cornwall. Hi, welcome. Okay, says, anyone want to buy 3 new rolls of black shrimp wrap? Whoops. What was that? I was going to pick something up here. Let's have a quick look. Matt, my husband, says, our UPS guy is retiring due to a bad back. I said, sorry for all the heavy boxes over the years. Yeah, they do get battered down our way. Again, Cindy says hers was miserable until we gave him chocolates, and we sometimes help them carry boxes. Absolutely. It goes a long way. And especially if you're setting up like a shipment for a Friday or something like that, and you're like last on the list or something, so they don't conveniently forget you. So, do what you can, be nice. Bribery with chocolates and things like that always works, for sure. I know some people do give money, but I'm not making any further comment on that. So, like we say, we're here to talk all about you tonight, Ash. So tell us where it all began. So before you found Amazon, what were you doing before that?
So my background is IT. I'm a project manager spanning over 25 years. So I've worked in the public sector. I've worked in the private sector. I've managed teams of 70 to 100, done nationwide projects for like the government, Job Centre Plus, rolling out IT equipment across several sites and managing several people.
Oh.
I can hear my voice somewhere. I think my wife is watching. Yeah, very loud. My background is IT. That kind of paved the way to property. Mm-hmm. So we have a small property portfolio, and alongside the IT, we have a property portfolio. And then I'd always looked at Amazon. I'd always was delving into little YouTube videos, and then I purchased some of these. I can't remember the name of it. These free online university courses. I can't remember what the company's called. And then around April last year, just as we went into lockdown, I joined a webinar of another organization, and I thought it's either now or never. We're in lockdown. What are we going to do? Mm-hmm. I purchased a course. I followed it. I followed the modules, and then I got a call from somebody else that purchased the course. Kat, actually, she's in this group. So we formed an accountability group, which is something I highly recommend. Mm-hmm. Goal setting, being accountable, and I'm sure now you do something similar. I'm not entirely sure in terms of the Secret Wealth Project, but I know you have the academy, which I did join temporarily, but then I streamlined to everything I was a member of. But I found that immensely helpful. My background is IT, project management. We have property. But I'm always one for ideas. I'm always thinking of something new. So I think all this stems from reading. So I was fortunate enough through my IT and through the earning potential. Me and my wife have circumnavigated the globe twice. We went traveling 7 years ago. 7 years ago, sorry, 2002. We went traveling. And when I came back, a friend of mine in Australia said, "Oh, you must read this book. You must read this book." And it was Rich Dad Poor Dad. And and funny enough, we met up many years later. And from his recommendation of reading that book, I've obviously moved on and accumulated all these properties. And he hasn't. I said to Lee, he's a good school friend of mine, and I said, "Oh, I have to thank you. You recommended something that guided me towards, a different way of thinking, changing the mindset, rather than working. So we went down the property route."
Mm-hmm. And I find it really interesting is there seems to be this really strong correlation between people in property and Amazon. I've, noted it over the last few years that there's this real draw between the two models. And I think it's because ultimately it comes from a passive income place. But then when the property guys get into Amazon, they realize it's not so passive from that side of it, depending on which route that you're going to go down. But from what you've just said, from my previous chats with you, from everything that you've posted over the last few months, and it's interesting with what you said, because it comes down to, I think, you versus your friend and having exactly the same opportunity, exactly the same thing at the right time. And what was the difference? You took action.
Yeah.
And definitely from our previous conversations and everything that you post, I get that you are an action taker. There's, if you're going to
everybody's lifestyle is different. So, there's an element of risk involved. Whatever you do, if you take action, there's going to be an element of risk, and that could be you're risking your own family, you're risking your job. But I had the flexibility of taking that risk and looking at other opportunities.
Do you think if it wasn't for lockdown, do you think you would have taken that step at this point in your life?
Probably not. No, probably not. Not at that moment in time. The other reason I delved into that area is that the government rules on self-employed had just changed. So they introduced something called IR35. So you'll find most IT contractors, there are a few on here. I know, I can't remember his surname, Matthew. He's one of he has an IT background. Operate via a limited company. So the government had clamped down on that, whereas you could no longer operate via a limited company. You became what we call a PAYE employee. So your money was taxed at source. So the market became highly saturated because all the banks had offloaded their IT contractors and the market became saturated with people looking for it. So where you would have quite a few people chasing the same role, you had quite a few hundred people chasing the same position.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
and whilst that came into force just at the beginning of lockdown, they all of a sudden changed their mind, saying, "Oh, we're going to delay it for a year." But it was too late by then. The banks had already offloaded everybody.
Yeah. So even if it had happened, obviously, then furlough and lockdown and everything like that happened anyway as well. So it probably might have been a compounding effect, you know, for everyone in that industry.
That's right.
Yeah, I think what's important to note is, again, I don't think we've talked about anything more over the last 12 months about people really grabbing this opportunity, running with it. And I think we can all agree, you know, big numbers that you've been posting. You know, if you don't mind me saying, I mean, it's titled this video, so hopefully spoiler alert, guys, but once you got accepted, once you got rolling, £500,000 worth of sales in 8 months. I mean, that is not to be sniffed at. But, you know, before that, I mean, it's a massive achievement, absolutely massive achievement. But before that, it took you a month to set up your account. You wanted to get going. What did you start with first? Was it just straight arbitrage?
Yeah, it was straight arbitrage. In fact, the first couple of sales I made were on, like, I think felt tip pens, crayons, and I wasn't doing well at all. So in our accountability group, Matthew kind of led the meeting, and we used an agile methodology, as in, you know, what are your top 2 achievements? What are your top 2 challenges? What went well? What didn't go well? And what are you setting for the next month? And well, the first month I didn't do anything because it was oblivious to me. I'd sent stock in without realizing it wasn't going to sell until my account was approved. Right. So the stock was still sitting there. And then the penny finally dropped when obviously you keep looking at your phone. I made a sale. And the day I made a sale, like it was the 28th of May, I realized my account was live.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I was struggling to find products. And I was probably typically trying to do things without any tools. So I had no tools at this point. I was just doing everything manually. Yeah, wow. Doing everything manually, using the free Facebook Keeper message thing. Mm-hmm. Couldn't make head or tail of Keeper graphs. And then yeah, I came across through our group. Everybody was more or less using BuyBot Pro. Yeah. And I thought, I've got to, because when you're not selling anything and you've got to make that commitment a month, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a difficult choice for some people. Yeah, even for me. Yeah, so I thought, I've just got to do this. And Jed made a good recommendation that, and I think it's really good. If you're buying into anything, just go for the monthly subscription, because there are so many products out there. Not everything is tailored to you. Yeah, your strategy may be different. Yeah, and that gives you the opportunity to switch and change. So yeah, I haven't cancelled my BuyBot Pro since I signed up back in over a year ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just something that's just such a well thought out piece of software, you know, especially when people are first starting out. It will absolutely save anyone, you know, a multitude of bad buys to start with. If you can, you know, if you can sell something, if you can't sell something, if, you know, you're gated, you know, all of these different aspects as well. And, you know, Karen and the team are absolutely phenomenal in the support that they offer with BuyBot Pro. So, you know, 500 grand in 8 months. You're hearing it from Ash, BuyBot Pro user, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah,
make sure you get it. Make sure.
Once you get BuyBot Pro, then you need to get over the hurdle of, what does this graph mean? Yeah, because you look at the graph and it's a minefield. And initially, I remember the days when I'd be traveling to Newport and I'd stop off at a services and I'd seen something and I thought, Jed was my go-to person, and I
Jed's amazing. Big shout out to Jed.
And I used to send Jed these products. I said, Jed, check this out for me, and he'd either be there or not be there. But yeah, you have to educate. Getting the product is one thing, but you have to definitely educate yourself how to read those graphs. Yeah. Now I just look at a graph and I know whether that's a good product or a bad product. Yeah. And then I will look into it further. Yeah. Just by visually looking at the graph, you instantly make that decision, because looking at products is about making a decision and then moving on. Yeah. But yeah, you have to educate yourself as to how to read that graph and what that graph means.
Absolutely. It's essential. Data is key in this business. And I know exactly what you mean. You know, when we used to do retail arbitrage back in the day, it's about when you really get to know this model, and I can't explain what it is. Maybe it's because the force is with us today on May the 4th. I don't know. But we'd be walking through the aisles and my husband would say to me, oh, that's on offer. What about that? And I just look at it and I go, nah, that won't sell. Because you do get this instinct for what sells and what doesn't. I'm not telling everyone to do that, obviously, but it's because at some point I've come over that. I've already seen that product or something like that. And the more experience that you gather, you know, the more you can do that type of thing. So Ada Ronke has joined us. She's said good evening. And John says Buybot Pro is, you know, essential. Absolutely. Vlad's joined us as well. Evening, Vlad. I seem to have cut out on comments for some reason, so hopefully you guys can still hear us and see us okay. So you had a bit of a rotten time to start with. You were probably banging your head a bit against the big against the wall. What changed? When was that?
What changed was I think my wife was shopping for something, and I glanced over at her iPad and I said, what's that? I looked at the product and I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I researched it. And then I went fishing for the product as to where I could buy it. And lo and behold, it was available on eBay. And some of you may know me. I don't always stick to the rules. You know,
fingers and ears.
Yeah, you've got to find a product and test it. Yeah, and then yeah, you find a product and then you try and get it wholesale, or you try and get it from the manufacturer. So I found this product, and I listed it. I thought, let's see if this would sell, and it sold. And then I went and brought the product and then shipped it. In fact, I brought two of them. I sold two in the space of like 48 hours. I'd sold two. And I thought, that's amazing, because I always calculate my margin back to toys, and I always use toys as an analogy. So if I'm making a £50 margin, I'm thinking, well, how many toys do I need to sell to make that £50? And yeah, I always use that analogy. So I did that once. Then I scaled it a bit. And I scaled it on the basis that I always, so whatever product I go, so I got this phrase from Jed, and I think it's a well-known phrase in the Amazon selling, you know, people go wide in their product range and shallow. Yeah, I'm sometimes the opposite. Yeah, I go deep. Yeah, and you'll hear a lot of sayings during this video. So you either go big or go home. That's my analogy.
That's definitely one of my favorite. It's definitely I use that a lot. Go big or go home.
Yeah, but I always have an exit strategy, because you need to know you're going to buy X £1,000 worth of stock. And look, my high ticket items are £100 plus. They're like £300, £400, £500 plus. And you need an exit strategy. And my exit strategy is always going to be eBay. Yeah. If I sell it for cost and don't make a loss, then happy days. Yeah. So yeah, I upscaled. I say why I upscaled. I went from 2 to 10, and then I just realized it was selling. And maybe it was around July. We were in lockdown, remember? And I think lockdown contributed to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where it took off.
And if I remember rightly, correct me if I'm wrong, at the time, obviously, and I do have to specify this, obviously, we don't recommend buying stuff from eBay and selling it on Amazon for an authenticity point of view. So disclaimer alert, I do have to say that because it is something that you do have to be able to prove. But am I right in thinking that you tested it to see if it worked? And then, like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, you found the product direct from the manufacturer or something like that. Was that right?
Yeah, I found the product direct from the manufacturer and some retailers.
And some retailers. And then you just compounded that.
So I found the product, initially I found it from a seller. I still use that seller today. I asked him, where are you getting these from? And he wasn't shy in telling me. And obviously he was putting his margin on top for what I was buying it for, but I was still making a margin after I'd sold it on Amazon. And obviously the Amazon is the go-to place for, you hear rumors that Amazon is now overtaking Google for searches. Yeah. And Amazon is the go-to place because people trust it. And I was still making a margin after that. So when I found out he was too getting it from a retailer, I then discovered I'd sold a variation of the product that I couldn't ship. When I say it couldn't ship, it was that big. They classed it as freight. Yeah, you needed to put it on a pallet. Then it just didn't become cost effective. I wasn't going to make a margin. So then I panicked because I'd already sold it. I'd already made oh, by the way, all these are FBM sales. They're not FBA. Yeah. Okay. I'd already sold it. And then I'd already sold it. I'd already brought it, paid for it, but I needed to get it from A to B. And I was sat here at this very place. My wife had gone out and I thought, so then I started looking for a man in a van. And that was coming out at £100, £200, £300. One guy offered to take it in his estate car. And I thought, well, that's not going to look good. No. Yeah. Yeah. And then the penny finally dropped. I thought, well, why don't I just hire a van?
Okay.
So that's exactly what I did. I hired a van. I picked it up from, I don't know, it was Tamworth or Coventry. I drove all the way to Farnborough, delivered it, and then I just got in the van and drove straight to Southampton. Drove to Southampton, went to every retailer, and by the time I got to Luton, the van was full.
Wow, so just buying the same product?
Buying the same product. So the van had paid for itself.
Well, and then some, presumably, as well.
Yeah, and then some. So then I hired the van for 2 days. So the next day I just offloaded the stock that I brought, went back to Luton and just worked my way back home again.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So that is, we always talk about RA, but with purpose, at the end of the day. So that was the start of something that then you employed into your business. You must have thought at that moment, wow, okay, if I do this and I scale it up, this is going to take me, this is going to take me out of, searching online or doing this or whatever. You found a system that worked for you.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was still learning at the time because then I didn't know things about shipping that I know now. I now know that shipping is not always on the weight; it's on the volumetric weight. Mm-hmm. I don't sell. I haven't done, and I haven't. I stopped selling that range of product, and I haven't sold it ever since.
No, but you realized at that point, that must have been your aha moment. Like, I've got something here. If I can find products and I can do this and I can get them from different sources. And I think it's fair to say, because we've seen the pictures, that on occasion you have driven the length and breadth of the country in order to pick up stock. But your figures speak for themselves, and what was interesting when I made the announcement that you were going to be coming on today, and this is what I really want to say to people, is I think I titled it something along the lines of, what are you prepared to do for this business? And you're the perfect example of what someone is prepared to do in order to explore this business and see what works for them and see what doesn't work for them. So, I don't think you're the first person in the world to say it's passive or it's been easy or anything like that whatsoever. You've worked hard for it. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not easy. Yeah, it's not. You're not going to be sitting around a laptop. Yeah, it's not easy. And I think there are those that would do that. But I think at the beginning, you need to get involved. You need to know what FN skewing is about. You need to know about I haven't had products that I've had to polybag. But yeah, in the beginning, yeah, I was getting food. I was getting products from approved foods. Yeah, so I was getting, this kitchen was full of stock. It was like a mini warehouse. My wife was like pulling her out. There was stock everywhere.
We've all been there, Ash. We've all been there.
You know, credit to them. They helped me FN skew. I had bags and bags of vitamin tablets. We FN skewed it all. And yeah, you have to go through that process of FN skewing, listing your item, doing a shipment. Yeah, because when you start outsourcing that, at least you know you know the process from start to finish.
Absolutely. I'm a massive advocate of that. You know, not everyone's in the position. You know, people work full time and they have to, or someone lives in a flat. It's impossible to do certain things. But, you know, do as much as you can to start with, guys. Learn the business inside out. It's, you know, Amazon is a more complicated model than, you know, most other platforms. I was having a chat with a seller today on Chat with Nat, and we were talking about Amazon versus one of the other platforms, selling platforms, and it was just, you know, the difference is unbelievable. But I must say, guys, first moment to say, never mind the buy box first. I don't think we've had anyone on that has personally delivered, you know, goods to the Amazon customer. So, you know, definite at first, never mind the buy box. We've done that previously in our previous distribution company, when you haven't got an option and you have to do something. And that's the thing about Amazon. At the end of the day, there's some pretty strict rules and there are consequences to if you don't do certain things. And you didn't sit there and moan about it and that, you just got on with it and you found a solution and you did it.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick look at comments, see if there's any questions. Natalie has said, what were you doing at 8 months? Is it still arbitrage or anything else? So I think it's fair to say that it's still definitely the arbitrage model, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still arbitrage. So let me just give you some numbers. So I'd say 99% of my sales come from arbitrage, and about 95 of those come from retail arbitrage, physically going out and finding that stock. There's about 4 or 5% that comes from online arbitrage. And about 1% came from private label. So yeah, I went through private label. So it was around this time last year. I was stood in one of those long queues to get into Sainsbury's, and I had this eureka moment. And I thought, oh, private label, let's see if this works. Got in touch with suppliers in China, looked at the pricing on Amazon, and I thought this stacks up. Yeah, brought 2 variations of the same product. One I literally ordered on a Monday and it arrived at my house on a Thursday from China. And then I went through, and private label is also an educational process of, you know, getting the GTIN number, registering for GTIN, getting your own barcode. And I think private label was, a really good moment. I posted on my accountability group. It was my first video live that I did, and they could all see I was so happy. I was smiling from ear to ear. Oh, my product's gone live. And then I was trying to get my head around PPC. It's just a nightmare. Yeah. But again, it's one of those things you've got to find the time to educate yourself on how PPC works, which is that Amazon's pay-per-click, because you've got to drive traffic towards your product because it's a new listing. You're not going to find it on BuyBot Pro. And then I did a campaign. And you just have to be careful, as Nat would tell you. You know, you could burn a lot of money on PPC unless you put in the right measures. So I put in the right measures. I put an end date in. It ended, and I didn't bother doing it. And then it just organically sold. I sold out. I didn't relist the same product again. There's many people that said I should have. There's loads of sellers selling the same product. I didn't want to go onto that banner, and I'd found another product by then.
I think the thing with private label, and we're going to be talking, you know, we've had Tim Jordan on, who's one of the biggest names in private label when it comes to selling in the US and everything like that. private label is, it's not a minefield. It's a different way of doing things. And the good thing is, if you are arbitrage seller, then you're already halfway there because you know Amazon and everything like that as well. But the PPC side of it, that is a minefield. There's different strategies, you know, different buckets of where you put certain keywords and what you do. But as I said, absolutely, you can burn a lot of money if you're not, you know, I'm always saying that you can burn a lot of money very quickly if you don't know what you're doing. So definitely do not, you know, don't do it with caution, guys. You know, wait till we've got Tim in the group to talk a little bit more about that. Ozzy says, he said, did you leave contracting because of the IR 35, which I think you've already sort of said that.
I didn't technically I didn't leave contracting. I was still looking. In fact, I had a few interviews at the beginning of lockdown. But they, you know, I'd made it to the final two in a lot of interviews during lockdown, leading up to lockdown, and things just didn't materialize. And then I'd spent this money. I hadn't told my wife I'd spent upwards of $2,000 on a course. So when you set yourself goals, yeah, my first goal was I need to recover that money.
Yeah. I hope you've told her now, otherwise she's
she's very well in the know.
Money well spent. You can't
money well spent. Yeah. So that was my first and foremost goal, was to recover my investment on what I'd spent on Amazon, on educating myself on this Amazon course.
Interesting thing, because I know that there's some differing opinions on this, and I'm not going to go into this in too much detail, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Were you more accountable because you spent that money on a course? I know there's lots of people out there that say learn it for free and doing this and doing that, but I'm kind of in the camp with what you've said, that if you do pay money for something, you're more likely to do something with it.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, you can go down the free route. I'm sure there's ample content online to go down the free route, but when you're holding yourself accountable for 2K, it changes things. Yeah, it gives you a purpose.
Yeah, no, fair enough. It was interesting to hear your thoughts on that. Andy says, has a van too for RA road trips, but use the Jag for daily RA. Yeah, RA trips. Do it in style, definitely. Andy Gelder's joined us. Evening, Andy. So is Tez. Hi, Hamad. Sean says, filled his van with crates today from the big stores and got a discount with them too. Building relationships is so important. Natalie knows who I mean. Wink, wink. Yes, I do. John says 8 months. I mean, this is quite a personal question, and I really don't expect you to go into it, but it's in the comments, so I will ask. It's about what sort of profit, you know, but I can...
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I would say it's around 20-25%.
There we go.
Yeah. Wow. Look, don't get me wrong. And I know when we used to have our accountability group, Jed's in the same, you know, sometimes we make some bad choices. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll hold my hands up. I made a bad choice. I brought a product from China. It's still in my garage. I was adamant I could sell it. I listed it, and the same seller that sold it to me has a listing on Amazon. He raised an IP claim. So
there's some dirty tricks. There's some dirty tricks out there. I mean, we experience it in arbitrage, but the world of private label, there are some, you know, there's some nasty people out there that do some very underhand tricks. Again, something else to watch out for. Luke says, have you still got the van now, or are you still renting it, or have you bought a van, or you rented?
No, I rented it. So when I first rented, I rented the standard transit van. In fact, it was a VW van. And when I drove that van around, I thought, this is the best. This is the best driving experience, because you had two armrests, you was high up, and you could see everything. Yeah, and I came home and I said to my wife, I said, we've got to get a van. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Get rid of the work, get a van. And then there were two more occasions when I hired a van, and the next time I hired a van, I hired an even bigger van because I knew I'd pick up stock.
Definitely. I don't know what it is without, I'm sorry if this is a sexist comment, but men and vans, they are literally, men love vans for some reason. Natalie says she totally agrees. You can't manage a team if you don't know the processes yourself. Completely agree. Sean says, any tips on how to ship from China to the UK cheaply? Prices have soared. I mean, I'll jump in and say I don't think there is any shipping from China that's cheap at the moment, just with everything that's going on. Prices are through the roof for shipping at the moment from China.
Yeah, when I was doing it this time last year, I was just playing one against the other. I just kept negotiating, trying to get the price down. But now, after we've come out of Brexit, I think the goalposts, I'm hearing, prices have soared.
Yeah, about containers have doubled, and there's lots of contributing factors involved. It's only probably going to get even more expensive. So what I would say is something that a good tip is, because prices have gone up so much, guys, don't forget about UK manufactured products that are being made in the UK. Because I tell you what's going to happen is prices are going to go up across the board. People that are selling stuff at the moment are selling stuff that they probably bought upwards of 6 months ago before the prices went up. But what's going to happen is the prices are slowly going to go up. And if you're looking at private label products at the moment, you're looking at the Buybot Pro graph and you're looking at things, you can see prices starting to edge up. So what that means is UK manufactured and bought products might be starting to become a little bit more competitive for us to sell in the UK. So definitely don't discount looking at UK products, guys. It's 100% something worth considering. Jordan says, your high-priced items, how do the returns affect you? Now, this is a question I wanted to ask you, because I know you were very honest in the groups about, I think on the first wave of products, you had a few scammers and people that tried it on and...
Yeah, so the first time I did this, I had some scammers. Unbelievable. They basically said they hadn't received the product. And when we had the first one, sorry, let's talk about returns. So returns, yes, we've had our fair share of returns this year. But this year we've done probably 4 times the sales we did last year. Because last year I joined very late for the particular product that we were selling. This year I joined at the very beginning, and we've probably sold probably 5 times the amount we sold last year. Look, the more you sell, the more issues you're going to get. And yeah, one of the I had one of these sessions with Nat, chat with Nat session, and one of the problems you get is the more you sell, the more issues you're going to get. And look, sometimes it becomes a full-time job. Yeah, I'm still dealing with my sales have like kind of plateaued out now, but I'm still this very day today. I dealt yesterday. I dealt with warranty claims. Yeah, warranty claims, and yeah, I try not. So what I found is when I so some of the orders, somebody's put a question: am I still doing FBM? A lot of my high ticket items are FBM. Yeah, they are FBM, and they're shipped via UPS, TNT. But the ones that are local, and when I say local, they're about 30 to 40 minutes away from me. I hand deliver, and that's probably the best experience, because when you hand deliver and they know it's you, I tell them, I say, if you have any problem, call me. Yeah, and they just love it. Yeah, and sometimes I get the best feedback from them. Yeah, so yeah, I try to avoid returns. I've had my fair share of returns. I've had a fair amount of returns this year, but then I've equally had 5 times the amount of sales. Yeah. So yeah, you have to deal with returns. It's just part and parcel. Whether it's a toy, whether it's a consumable or a perishable item, you're going to have to deal with returns. It's the same with whether it's £1,000 or £500 unit versus a toy that's £30-40 or any perishable items. You deal with returns the same way you deal with returns on a high ticket item.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It's part and parcel with the business. The more you sell, the more likely returns you're going to get. The more you sell, it goes across the board on a lot of things. The more general issues you're likely to have. But it's one of those things. It's returns isn't a nice problem to deal with, and increased risk of IP claims isn't a nice problem to deal with. But at the end of the day, it's something that it proves that your business is scaling, and providing you're handling it in the right way. Most people will say high ticket items, don't send them in FBA for, various different reasons, and, get lost and reimbursements and all these different types of things. So obviously, I think what you're saying is high ticket FBM and, everything else FBA, essentially.
Yeah.
I know Natalie's asked, do you do FBA as well?
Yeah, so I was going to come on to that. So I don't know why I got the call, but I was busy on my driveway stacking those pallets, and I got a call from Amazon. And they said...
They're watching you.
Yeah. Did you know we are piloting, they called it heavy and bulky program. We are piloting that, and we'd like you to be one of our early adopters. And I said, yeah, send me the information and I'll have a think about it. And she quickly told me over the phone, said it was £12.04. She forgot to mention plus VAT. It was £12.04. And as soon as she said that, I thought, well, this could work. Because at the time, so from last year, I was spending upwards of £39 per unit to ship.
Right. Okay.
This year, that was through TNT. I didn't do a lot of due diligence last year. So this year, I got that down to £28, £27, £18. And then I eventually got it down to £15. And then one night, just sat around this table, 3 laptops. I think it was the day I'd hit a day of sales of 15K.
Wow.
All well and good getting 15K of sales, but you got to ship them.
Yeah.
That's not easy. So I downloaded the spreadsheet. My wife was sat here, my father-in-law was sat here, I was sat there, and I educated them. I was using one of the many parcel companies online, what I call the white label, the comparison sites, what I call white label. I picked one because they had a comparable rate, and I said, this is how we book it. So we used Google Sheets so we could share the same spreadsheet. I said, as soon as you do one, I told my wife to color hers in pink and my father-in-law to color his in blue, so I could see if there was a mistake made.
Yeah.
But they were fantastic. They picked it up so quick, and we got through 60 shippings that one night. And then I realized they stopped my account, because if you misinform them anything about your shipping, which I came to realize, they get surcharges. Their surcharges don't land until 2 weeks after you've shipped it.
Right.
Yeah. So they cancelled my account because those surcharges potentially could have been $2,000. Yeah. I was amazed. So, I shipped them all myself. I forgot what the question was now.
Oh yeah. Do you do FBA?
Yes. So come back to. Hold on. Let me just switch the lights on.
Okay. That's fine. You're not going too dark or anything. I'm sat here lit up by a million screens. Oh, running all over the place. There we go.
Yeah. So they invited me to
big and bulky.
Heavy and bulky. So as soon as she said £12.04, I thought that looks attractive. So I said, look, send me the information. So she sent me these PDFs, and I then read into the small print, and it was £12.04 plus VAT and plus the storage charges. And I thought, well, I'm not going to get a lot of storage charges providing these. And the advantage was you carried the Prime badge. And I thought, well, I would just jump to the top. Yeah. So I thought, let's test this. So I tested it with a range of products. I sent in 6 pallets, and I sent them in via my pallet company, and they all landed, but they weren't selling. And I started, when you send the stock in and it doesn't sell, and you think, oh, and that's when I made the post that it was the same product, but it had two ASINs. And I thought I'd listed it on the ASIN with the higher BSR rather than the lower.
I remember.
And then I made a post, oh, how can I change this? And many of you said, oh, the only way you can change that is call your stock back. And I thought that's not going to happen. So then I went to PPC. I thought, let me drive traffic to it. And when I looked into it, I hadn't listed it on the wrong ASIN. It was on the right ASIN. And then they just naturally sold, So
all's well that ends well. But did you recommend the heavy and bulky program? Did it work for you?
Look, at the time, you guys know, it was backbreaking stuff to put those on pallets. Yeah. And at that very point, I did do my back in. It was painful, and sales had plateaued out, which was an advantage. But I did my back in, and I think you mentioned as well, there's only one of me. You've got to look after your back, so from that perspective, it did pay off, because after that, I sent in a pallet of 6 pallets, and then I sent in 10. And look, we'd gone through the pilot, the actual program that they made it available to the wider public, the wider sellers on the 1st of April. It jumped from £12.04. I think it eventually went to £15. But even at £15, I was paying £2-3 more. But then I looked at it from a point of view, well, £2-3 more a unit. It's freeing me up from being on the driveway. Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're doing all the shipping. And literally, when those 10 pallets landed, I said to my father-in-law, I said those pallets landed, and we just sat down to eat. I said, oh, I made a sale. I made another sale, and by the time we finished eating, I'd made like £6,000 of sales, and I thought, hold on, we better slow this down. So I increased the price, and they were still selling.
No, wow, that's crazy.
So from that.
So
that increase in price alone covered the extra. Well, not only covered the extra piece that I was paying on shipping, but brought me a better margin.
But then some as well. And Tez has asked the question: doing that much FBM at the time? Do you have a warehouse? But I think for those that didn't see it, we all saw how long your drive was.
Yeah, my driveway's big. No, I don't have a warehouse. I don't have a warehouse. No.
Okay, so obviously we've talked about getting up to this point, doing 800 grand, doing 500k in 8 months. I mean, just talking to you, it sounds like you've learned so much, and the last year has just been a massive educational experience for you. So things have died down a bit now. Our chat last week, you're a really open and honest guy. And I think sometimes that throws people off, because you are really open about things. And sometimes in this industry, people are like, well, why are you telling us so much? And, we're not used to people telling us so much, kind of thing. And it makes people question. But when we were talking about last week, you said, look, it was phenomenal. It was great. But I did my back in. There's only one me. My health is really, really important. So it's something that you're kind of looking into different things now, or, definitely still the Amazon model, but definitely something that is not going to kill you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, it's given me time to think now. And I had one of those chat with Nats last week, and I think I need to start looking at process. And Nat mentioned something really valuable. She said, write down everything you do, because at the end of the day, I am the bottleneck to this business. You take me out the equation and it stops. Yeah, it literally stops. So that doesn't scale. Yeah, you can't scale if technically I'm a one-man band. I have the luxury, and thank God I have the help of my wife and my father-in-law who's been staying with us during lockdown. But there's only so much they can do. I don't ask them to lift anything. It's more administrative stuff. Make a phone call, do these FNSQs. But it's about process now, and it's about my mindset has slightly changed. I am looking at. I spoke to Nat last week, and I'm looking at online arbitrage deals. I can't I could sit here and source deals, but yeah, I thought, let me try. It's about trying something different, trying something new, seeing what works, what doesn't work. So I have started to look at online arbitrage deals, and looking at different processes.
Yeah, I do get the impression though, Ash, that you are not a man to miss opportunity. So if the opportunity does come up again, I can't see you missing out.
No, absolutely not.
No, yeah, definitely. I wouldn't believe you if you said I'm never going to do that again. But technically, let's face it, 500 grand in 8 months, even if you sold nothing for the next 4 months or whatever, you're still in a phenomenal position from that point of view to be able to sit back, relook at things, see what works for you, see what doesn't work for you. And I think that's really important to take stock and do that. Sean says he's too scared buying 300 to 500 pounds worth of stock to sell on Amazon. And I think the thing is, whilst I don't want to be glib and sort of like go in with the whole he who dares wins thing, but it's a very specific model that you've looked at and that you've been highly successful with. And I think you'd be the first one to admit it's not for everyone at the end of the day.
It's not. No, it's not for everyone. It's high risk. Yeah. High value items is high risk.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think I really wanted to emphasize that on Never Mind the Buy Box, we get all different sellers from all different walks of lives that have, multiple different models, selling options. And I think it's been absolutely, essential for everyone to find out about the different models and see what works for them. There is only one way that you can ever find out if a model is for you, and that's to try, take action, as Sean would say, take massive action and give it a go. But you're in a position that your business phenomenally scaled ridiculously quickly. And looking back, I'm sure that you were just kind of swept up in it a bit at the time. But what advice would you give to anyone that's doing this, maybe at that point where you were at the start and thinking, is this for me or isn't it for me? I can already see here, comments saying that your hard work paid off. Absolutely, it did. But what advice would you give to anyone that maybe is at that point in their business where they're thinking, I don't know if this is for me or whatever?
Yeah, I think my main advice is not to give up. Yeah, it's so easy to give up. Yeah, I'm is another one of my sayings. You're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. Yeah, and the minute you give up is when you are part of the problem. You've become the problem. Yeah, you rather than sitting there and thinking this is not working, you need to be asking yourself, why is it not working? Yeah, and as soon as you start asking yourself why is it not working, you start looking for answers. Yeah, and that will ultimately lead you to solution. And the other thing I must mention is, I've seen all these people on here. I've got my phone right on my screen here, but yeah, you got to join these calls. You will pick up something. Yeah, you got to follow these people, not literally, but people like Mark.
Stalk us or anything like that.
yeah. People like Mark, people like Hayden. I've got my the YouTube on the other laptop. People like Hayden and Mark and Sean and Matt, yeah, and even Vlad. You gotta follow,
absolutely.
You've got to follow these people. You got to listen to them. Yeah, there are pieces of information that you will pick up and it will just resonate with you. Yeah, these people have all been through this cycle of starting up. Yeah, they were all once beginners. Yeah, we're all once beginners. Yeah, and you will learn from them.
Absolutely. And I think that's such a valid piece of advice, because at the end of the day, whilst I'm a firm believer in, like what we were talking about at the start, you have to experience everything yourself, because people's perspective is so different and people's in the way that they experience and handle something is so different. But the more that you can expose yourself to other people, literally don't expose yourself to other people, guys, but the more that you can to listen to where others have been before, even if it's a different journey, even if it's, I think the core of success remains the same, which is, unless you take action, unless you give it a go, how will you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, and also you got to keep posting. You know, there's no such thing as a dumb question. Unless you ask the question, no one's going to respond to you. It may seem silly to you, but there'll be somebody out there that'll have an answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and absolutely. Sean says, no, you know, you've always got to be learning. Amazon is a forever changing platform. And even if you take yourself away from Amazon, any business that you run, we're actually at a point in our lives where we're going through a global shift now. You know, the last time I remember there was a global shift was, you know, the financial crisis. Before that, it was 9/11. You know, we're going through natural evolution due to everything that's happened during the pandemic over the last 12 months. So, you know, if you ain't evolving, then you're dead, essentially dead in the water. And we've seen that with so many businesses this year. So guys, make sure you're always tuning in, make sure you're learning, make sure you're asking questions. I think that's absolutely phenomenal advice.
And the other thing is tools. You're not going to do this by yourself. Yeah, you can do. Yeah, BuyBot Pro you can do, but it's going to take a long time. Yeah, unless you've got the right tools. And there is another saying that I picked up from somewhere. The mindset without the tool set is going to leave you upset.
I have never heard that. What was that again? Say it again. If you can.
I can't remember.
Mindset is the tool set.
Yeah. I'll have to dig it up.
Watch it back on the replay, guys. He said it right first time, and then I put him on the spot. Oh, brilliant news. Cindy has got her account back, so ready to listen as always. So Cindy was going through a deactivation issue, but I know she reached out to Karen Hudson and the team who managed to sort that out at BuyBot Pro. Guys, as Ash says, if you're going to do it, get BuyBot Pro. And if you're going to get BuyBot Pro, get suspension safeguard with it as well. It is worth its weight in gold, you know, for the protection that it will give you for your account. So, yeah, 100%. Ruth says, good tips. I'm always picking up gems from the SWP team. Thank you for that. Lots of people saying congratulations. Who's written it down? Andy's written it down.
Andy's written it down. Yeah, the mindset without the tool set will leave you upset.
Absolutely. 100% they saved me. Glad says congratulations. Everyone's saying congratulations to Cindy. Absolutely phenomenal. Really, really pleased for you. Quick question from Hamad. What effects have you had in terms of feedback from FBN? Any negative feedback? Have you had, you know, actually physically people leaving negative feedback?
Do you know what? I don't really. So I loaded something on my seller account. I think it's from Seller Toolkit. You get free. You can click on something and request feedback. I don't really look at my feedback because it can eat away at you, because people are going to leave feedback regardless to whether you've done well. You know. So I sold a product to a lady in Wales. And it arrived cracked. Now, that wasn't my fault.
No.
Yeah, it was a courier's fault, but they don't see it like that. Yeah. And they were wealthy people. I mean, so I went to Newport because I had property there, and I said, I'll swap it out for you. And that's exactly what I did. I took one of mine, went there, and I said, what do you want out of this? And we'll swap it out. When I arrived at the place, I thought I'd arrived at a hotel. There was enough space in the car park for like at least 20 cars. So I arrived. I arrived, and she left me bad feedback before I'd had the opportunity to put something right.
Did she remove it?
Yeah, so no, I haven't gone back to her. Well, just as I was leaving, so I packed away her faulty item into the box that I did, just about to put it in the boot, and I put it down. I said, one more thing, and she knew what I was going to say, and she said, yeah, let me get on with this piece here first. And then I Googled them, and I think they were both consultants. She was a doctor or something. I should be going back to her and say, look, can you remove this? I haven't bothered, but
It's
yeah.
definitely worthwhile because it can get you in. It's always worth chasing up. I know with merchant fulfilled feedbacks, that's definitely a lot harder to get removed because you have to deal with the person yourself. But if you went to that level of fixing it, there's no reason. So I would definitely get back it instead. Sorry, that made me laugh. Simon Andrews says, "I'm glad you liked my house, Ash." Wink. But yeah. Hansa says congratulations. Helium 10 reminds of feedback in emails as well, so that's always worth taking into account. So I'm sorry if I've missed anyone's questions tonight. Been very popular guests. But before we go, Ash, we've talked about everything. We've talked about the phenomenal success that you've experienced over the last 12 months in particular. On the anniversary today of signing up for your Amazon account, what does the future hold for you? What is the future, not just with Amazon, what does it hold for you and your business? Where do you see yourself this time next year and, 3 years time?
That's difficult to say. I mean, this year, obviously I set myself, and I think I have Luke DeGan to blame for this. So I set myself a target of 1 million. I thought, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And also Thomas Parkinson, he set himself a challenge of 1 million. So I thought, well, why not? A year to 3 years. Yeah, I think we'll be moving in a different direction. I think I had this chat with you. I think it's about, as Luke DeGan says, it's about building that Bible. Yeah, building that Bible of consistent products that will sell. Seasonal products, and I guess selling these high ticket items has taken me away from actually researching that space of products. And again, I become the bottleneck because I can only be doing one thing at any one time. And the 1 to 3 year plan is probably not to give up. I still want to continue this, providing I don't get suspended between now and then. I won't be surprised if they suspend me. I don't worry about those things.
I think it's realistic. Again, just to reiterate, obviously, it's not that you've done anything suspendable. It's the fact that the more you sell, the more chance it is that something could happen. That's realistic at the end of the day.
Yeah. So my LDR went down during all those orders. I had like 15K of orders, and something eventually was going to go wrong. Things did go wrong. I mean, I forgot to ship stuff. Their shipping label was still on this table. And they said, "Oh, we haven't received their order." And I went to see the tracking. It says, "Oh, shipping label created." I thought, "Oh, must be in the house somewhere." So yeah, the LDR went round. LDR is late. I forgot what LDR, late delivery rate or something like that, late dispatch rate. And luckily they didn't suspend me. They called me again. I was on the drive doing a shipment. They called me and they says, "Oh, we're calling from Amazon. We realise your LDR is below average." And they went through the same things on the phone. Why has it happened? What are you doing to mitigate that? And what measures have you put in place to not to happen again? And I told them over the phone. They said, "Fine. Can you document that? Send it to us." So I assume that's what you would do if you did get suspended anyway. So I had a trial run at that, and they were happy with that. And as you know, the LDR rate eventually comes down the more you start selling. But yeah, 1 to 3 year plan. This year was to hit 1 million. Is it going to happen? I don't know. But to look at different product ranges. Yeah,
absolutely. Definitely. And establish that foundation in your business. And do you know what? If you do that, I think Luke DeGan is absolutely phenomenal at this, is establishing that really solid foundation in that business, that core set of products that, you can go back to over and over again and building that solid foundation. And then, do you know what? And systemizing that and putting those processes in place. So when these opportunities come across, then you feel like you can take that extra time out of yourself and out of the business. I think that's a really sensible approach to it, 100%.
Yeah.
So Sean says we have now until the end of the month to get our tracking up to 95%, don't we? I think it's in place already, but obviously with the VTR rate, as it stands at the moment, obviously I'm not telling people to not pay attention to it. Any metric within Amazon is important, but as far as I understand it, it's not suspensionable offence. But they might suspend, your shipping or something like that, but it's not an actual account suspensional offence. But it doesn't mean you should be lack with it, guys. It just means it is something. Don't have a heart attack or anything like that if it does drop below that go
I did briefly see a question about hand delivering. I think up until recently I never saw an option that said when you put dispatch, it's DHL or UPS. There wasn't an option. I think there is now.
Yes, because of the VCR, so you have to put in valid tracking details.
Yeah, so I think Jed recommended, or somebody recommended, just put Royal Mail. And I would put Royal Mail.
Also, there's nothing to stop you. I know it kind of defeats the purpose, I suppose. Oh no, because it wouldn't go through that. I was going to say there's nothing to stop you buying the shipping, I suppose, is there? But it's not going to show the actual delivered. So scratch that, guys. Forget it. Do as Jed says. Jed's an absolute demon on the FBM side of things. Just do as Jed says and put Royal Mail or whatever that process is. I do not know FBM. Sorry, I don't know FBN, as in we don't sell FBM. So since the VTR rate has changed, so any extra input on that will always be welcome for sure. I wanted to read out Mark Penn's comment earlier when we were talking about go big or go home. And then he put something else there and I can't remember what it was. But he was also saying his PPC, going back to that, £1 million a year. You need to get good at it and get it right. And PPC will build your business if done right. Absolutely. That's why Amazon is Mark Penn's best friend for sure. When you start spending some good money on PPC, they definitely sound, they definitely come knocking for you. Oh, Jed said it wasn't him that recommended that, but sounds legit. We'll get that clarified, guys, for sure. Yeah. So let's have a quick look. Yeah, and someone else has made the comment about I'm sorry, I don't know who the name is. Made the comment about not putting your eggs in Amazon's basket. So lots of different multiple streams. Absolutely. We're big advocates of that for sure. Well, Ash, it's been amazing. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I think we will wrap things up, but guys, in the comments, just let Ash know. I mean, I think tonight's been an absolutely phenomenal episode, really illuminating. And, thank you for being so clear and concise on all of your points. It makes 100% sense, everything that you've said. And I think you really will be giving a lot of people a lot of inspiration, especially at this time in their business when, it's a little bit quieter than it is normally.
Yeah. No, like when we had our chat, you said my post give the human element into this business. It's not always about products or money or turnover. There are multiple things that are going on to get things right.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And you put everything so eloquently, so thank you so much for being so candid this evening, and please keep us updated in the Secret Wealth Project on your journey. I think you've inspired a load of people over the last few months, over the last 6 months. Congratulations. May the 4th be with you, of course, for the Star Wars. Oh, at least I said it right. Normally I call Star Wars Star Trek and vice versa, but lots of lovely comments for you. Simon says, congratulations on your results and good luck on your £1 million journey. But be sure to keep us updated. And I would love, maybe we can make May the 4th work for you every year. Maybe you can come back and update us.
I will. I'd be happy to.
Absolutely. I'm sure that we will see your face again for sure on Nevermind the Buy Box. It's always good to have people with lots of different varying experiences on there as well. Thank you so much for everyone that's watching. I will obviously see you same place, same time next week, 7 o'clock next Tuesday. streaming live via YouTube or for Secret Wealth Project. Guys, if you ever watch it on YouTube, make sure you give us thumbs up as well, or thumbs down. It's entirely up to you. I don't care either way. Well, no, sorry, I do. But give us some thumbs up. It's always good to see your support via YouTube. Many congrats to Cindy as well. Sue says that. Congratulations on getting your account back. Really, really good to hear. Lots of lovely comments. So thank you, everyone, for watching tonight. Thank you for your time, Ash. Stay safe, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Great. Thanks very much.